Hello to everyone present. My name is Peter Clutton, and I am being joined firstly by the gentleman on my left here, if he would care to introduce himself.
My name is Sean Robertson.
And we are joined also by a man sitting about 10,000 miles opposite us across the Atlantic Ocean. And he is...
That's me. That's me. I'm no one important. Pay no attention to me.
Okay. Do you have a name, no one important?
I may have a name. I just don't know if I want to give it out.
Okay, well, if at any point you feel like throwing it out, then feel free to speak up.
Fine. Hold on a second. Let me just pick it up and throw it. I'm Michael Page, and I am the creator of the original Ninja series, and that's all you need to know. Yes.
Okay. And myself and Sean are the current runners of the series in such as it is.
I wish I could have a greater claim as creator of the series. I'm just the guy who sits behind the camera.
Creator.
And gets yelled at a lot.
Yes. And we're here to give you director/creator's commentary on this and the other episodes of the series. So, as we go into the opening sequence, we can go in a little bit about the basis of the series. I'm sure everyone who's seen the episode will already know what happens in it, but the series basically came about because, having left the original series alone, Michael Page decided that he would allow someone to take up the mantle, and in come me and Sean.
Well, I'd say mostly you to start off with, at least. You came up with the idea of a spin-off
Certainly
fairly
initially.
early on, actually.
Absolutely, but you were certainly instrumental to its development and continuation.
Of course, I'm trying to remember when Side B took place, actually. Was that midway through spin-off?
Are you asking when it was made? Sorry, just to clarify, Side B is
The
5-episode story arc following Dine, the original main character in the Ninjas, who departs the series' main flow, as it would be, considering this is the main episodic flow, to another sort of, I guess, a solo spin-off of the main character?
Yes.
I don't know, anyway.
So when was that developed in relation to this?
That was made, I believe, let's say the Ninja spin-off production and thought, and well, the whole project began 3.5 years ago. Well, the spin-off, Side B, happened at the end of the first year of production of the spin-off, and Side B only took from conception to actually finishing the editing of the final episode took about 1 month, which is completely insane. If you can say, granted, the episodes are much shorter; they're about 15 minutes each, whereas the spin-off ranges from about 20 minutes to an hour and an hour and 15 minutes or something. So that's
yes,
quite easy to see.
Now this first scene introduces the first of many cameos of returning characters. In fact, the title of this episode, "Many Happy Returns," which appeared just a few seconds ago, even, was chosen simply because the entirety of the named cast of the named characters, of this episode, comprised characters returning from previous roles in the series.
I think cameo's a bit of a... I don't think that's the right term to use, because they're still instrumental to the plot.
It's perhaps diminishes what the true extent of it. I suppose I was thinking of characters who chiefly arrive for one scene on one particular set.
Oh yes, cameo is certainly a word I would consider using, but I think the cameo is a guy wandering in the background, sort of like, oh, it was him from that episode back then, and in fact in this case the vast majority of returning characters play fairly significant roles.
This is true. And in this case, our first returning character was Mr. Jamie Bagnall, playing his old character, Heathcliff Fiskar.
I made him.
This is true. Now, moving on to the current scene, we have a somewhat slightly less iconic cameo, some might say. Recurring character. Must stop using the word cameo. Sitting next to me there is Joe Buckley in his seminal role as Hat.
We were very inventive.
Which one of them's Hat? There's 3 other people in the room with him.
I don't know. Are there any clues? I'll get back to you on that.
Okay.
Now, I believe that yourself, Mr. Page, you have reason to have your issues with this particular scene.
Well, no more so than I just felt that in terms of contributing to the story, there is nothing in this scene that really drives the plot ahead, and it does drag on just a tiny bit too long for me. However, that said, I'd like to point to the attention to the previous two series, which were my creation. There are about, I'd say 50% of that entire series. Most of it is nothing to do with the actual plot and could have been removed. And I actually went back and did that to one of the series.
Well, if I can justify this scene on the basis that we had a man with a hat over his face throughout the entire scene, and that I got to use my bubble pipe.
Fair enough.
Yeah, the bubble pipe's a good addition in that regard.
Well, I needed to give Alzek a new pipe since he got rid of his old one.
Well, he's not got rid of it, it just transforms.
It's transformed indeed. And Jamie's back.
Believe it or not, this room looks very similar to the one you were just in.
You'd think that, but I couldn't possibly say why.
Okay.
It's a doctor's surgery, well, a psychiatrist, well, kind of a bit of everything, really.
Yeah.
All the rooms are sort of similar? Okay.
Yeah, we'll go with that. For the
Shouldn't
most
be
part.
making excuses for this sort of thing.
Exactly.
I remember during the early planning stages, which I was sort of your soundboard to bounce ideas off, I guess. Is that a good role name for? Yeah, I'll take that.
Soundboard.
I'll assign myself that soundboard.
Oh, yeah, certainly made a lot
in the
of
early
noise.
stages, you weren't 100% sure how Alzek was going to find out about the problem that's about to be unveiled. I won't spoil anything yet, even though I'm assuming people have already watched.
I think
the
we
series.
can.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, Alzek's about to find out that Gunn's inside his head. The bad guy's inside his head. And I remember early on, you weren't sure how you were going to reveal it.
My problem was that the idea is that Gunn has been latent but inside Alzek's head for a number of years now, and
Yes.
I needed something to change, something that would allow him to be alerted to this.
Especially as well, given how strong a character Gunn actually, especially as a bad guy. You get some fairly weak, monster of the week style bad guys.
Oh yes, and we do some of that as well.
Oh yeah, of course. But Gunn's the overriding villain, and is such a strong character. You can't really introduce him in anything below a really impressive way.
Yeah, of
It
course.
wouldn't suit his character, nor do it justice, quite frankly.
And so we created this scene, giving advancing the plot and giving Heathcliff a role of a professional psychiatric ninja, and to be honest, I really like the scene because it allowed Alzek to have an interaction with someone who he'd had an interaction with in the previous series, and the new dynamic to their dialogue gives you, I think, a little bit of a feeling that these are characters who've moved on in their lives since.
Yes,
because last time they
definitely.
spoke, it was a sort of student-teacher relationship. Alzek being the teacher.
Well, student teacher and or sacrificial lamb, evil warlords.
A sacrificial lamb and punching bag.
It's funny how those sorts of relationships develop.
Yeah.
And now, essentially, not rivals, hero and villain,
Yes.
as simple as it gets.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
You could almost think that was me at first, when I
Yeah,
had
Here
long hair.
comes,
The hair
here
certainly
comes Sean
matches.
dressed up as me.
Yeah, totally.
He's wearing a mask and he's got a wig on. Mind you, he's done that before a few times in this series.
This is true.
Fooling even those who I was pretending to be.
This is true, but we'll come to that later on.
Oh, of course.
Ah, yes. See, it's definitely part of the same series. We have flashbacks.
Actually, you know what's funny? That shot does not look out of place at all, despite being filmed, 3 years before? 4 years?
True, but it was on the exact same kind of camera that it was filmed, so even though there's a slight drop in quality in the older stuff, thanks to the software that processed it, I think, it's not a significant reduction.
Yeah.
And anyway, it's only up on screen for a second.
Now, something you're certainly going to notice as the series progresses, and we'll probably call out a few times later on,
Indeed.
just the development of the quality.
Just the last thing to note is that green screen sequence was, I think, the first thing that was filmed for the entire series.
Yes, that was, just to confirm, that was done before I came over here to the USA to study.
Really? How?
Yes, that was done then, and I believe I was told I should be on call for other voice clips later on, but I did return for my holidays at some points, which allowed them to film additional footage, which was very good.
Absolutely.
Anyway,
Now, here comes the major plot exposition.
Al's very good at that. Having his own little monologues to describe everything that needs to be done.
Yes.
The amulets!
I don't remember them looking like that in the first season.
Yes. Now, though the amulets are a plot device that was used in the original first series of the Ninja, only one of them was ever
Yes.
majorly seen on screen. Fortunately, though that one was not still around, I was able to find a replica. That one is the Kaiser Ankh. The other two, the Sovereign Leaf and the Regal Eye, I found new props and designs for, and even new names for them. Because
Yes, I was going to say I only named one of them, and I only ever showed, I think, two of them. But the Sovereign Leaf is never seen closely enough. Because and I think I had a third one. It was like a shark's tooth or something. A fake one, of course, made of glass. And it was going to be called the Wolf's Fang or something, because Leon originally had it. But then suffice it to say that I wasn't as well prepared for anything as I was now.
things
like I am
happened,
now.
and in the end,
I never showed them.
the original amulets were not all displayed or named on screen.
Yes.
Now, this part that we're seeing at the moment, this was the first day filmed with the cast. This, interestingly enough, on this day we had along everyone who would become the major four protagonists of the cast in the final episode. That being myself, Stephen Boyle, Andrew Suter, and Alex Klaus.
Even though at this point not all of them actually knew their roles were going to be...
Exactly.
pulled a Spielberg on them. I would like to say.
Perhaps. But yeah, we had a much bigger cast on this first day than was necessary, because all we really needed was me, Stephen, to do our fight scene, and somebody to have this short fight scene with Stephen.
Which, just since we're here, oh no, I can't say that, can I? Because that would spoil things. Okay.
Spoil.
Sorry.
What is it you're referencing?
The Traveler here, he plays a bigger role later.
Okay, yes.
I can't say that, can I?
Suffice to say, this character retroactively, now we have decided, has a bigger role than he did when he first appeared here, played by Andrew Suter.
Yes.
Although wearing Alex Klaus's face mask, which would later become part of his Jaiku costume. And carrying Alex Klaus's cane, which he very sportingly provided for the occasion.
It's one thing you would think in a land full of ninjas, is that mysterious old man at the side of the road is probably not going to be as easy prey as you think it would be.
Quite. Yeah. Now, I want everyone to pay very close attention here, because in the next clip, Stephen is about to jump up, and his bag is going to fall off. That bag is now never going to be seen again for the rest of the series.
Yep.
Whoa. This is the first time I'm hearing about this as well. No joke this time. I genuinely never noticed.
Yep.
I noticed this from day one of seeing this episode, because Stephen has worn this bag before in my series, and it was really cool. And I noticed he was wearing it again. I was like, oh, great, that's cool. I like that bag. And then in this episode, it falls off. Like, oh, I'm sure I'll pick it up later. He never does.
No. The bag fell off the first time we did that shot, and it was so cumbersome to him during the fight. I just said, yeah, just leave it off. Then we took it away, put it to one side, and yeah, when we filmed the last part of this fight, which was done on a separate day, I didn't ask him to bring the bag with him, and that was just kind of sandpapered over.
Oh, well. Well, obviously nothing too important was inside the bag.
Oh, of course not. Just his medication.
Yeah. Is
Medication
that why
to keep his
Leon's
hair.
so much weaker in this series?
Sorry, what
than
did
the
you
other?
say, Sean?
I was saying, is that a medication to keep his hair from growing or something?
Oh yeah.
I was gonna say, is that why Leon's so much weaker in this series? No, we have a bit of a thing with Leon as the character. when I first created him, I intended him to be this genuinely unstoppable powerhouse who is much more powerful even than Dine, the main character from the first 2 series,
Yeah.
who is in his own right quite powerful. But now, I don't think it was a bad idea to do this, but it was a bit strange for me to see Leon, losing to a nameless character traveler and struggling against Alzak, because Alzak is not supposed to be as powerful
This is
as
true.
Leon.
My best justification for it is firstly that your expectations of Leon mean that any time he does less than perfect in a fight, you don't like it.
Exactly.
And secondly, that
You were pushing more towards the strategic element of things, which I really enjoy.
fair enough. But after season 2, we'd already had the unstoppable powerhouse ninja in the form of Katsudin, as played by Matthew Lamb.
He wasn't so unstoppable when I fought him.
Yeah. But oh, and there's Steve stabbing the ground there, as you can see by the tiny fleck of dirt on the tip of his sword when he raises it up.
Oh yeah. I thought he was stabbing Alzak's clone.
Again, you're calling out all these little nooks and stuff that I'm usually the first to complain about, and I'm not noticing any of them this time round.
Look, all I'm saying is, I've edited this thing. I've sat and watched this footage God knows how many
Frame
times.
by frame.
And even though we're years now since this actual day happened, I can still feel how soggy my shirt got, falling over that many times that day.
That's my shirt, technically.
Oh yeah.
I think that was one of those scenes where we probably filmed it a good 5 or 6 more times than was probably necessary at that point.
Just so
Yeah.
we could see Pete fall
Funny,
on
we
the
have a
ground.
tendency to do that when it's me falling over.
You fall over quite a fair bit as well. It was kind of like you
I
were-
write it for myself, so,
You were kind
no
of
one to
asking
blame.
for it a few times.
Ah! It's
Oh, yeah.
affecting me.
Yes. This is
What does
another
that mean?
this is another reference to the previous series. Although Alzak does give all the necessary explanation there, that horn technique is called the Horn of Shodan, which I'm only saying because we don't actually name it here. And it was a throwaway move in the last series, which I decided to bring in this time as a plot device.
Really sped things along.
Yes, well, it was an instant convincing device.
It's a shame you didn't use it more often, because it's not the first time you come up against somebody, I believe, in this series, where you probably could have just
Well,
blown
the
that and then be
int-
like, oh yeah, I'm good.
The
Attempt to use it a second time in the second episode, right?
Yes, the second person that you're thinking of, Sean, is the king of the wood country,
Yes.
and Alzek is on the point of doing the same thing again when Leon steps in and allows Hime to break the water for him.
Probably could
We
use
don't
it
need
with
that
Dusk.
thing, Alzak.
Dusk in episode 4 as well, possibly.
Yes, yeah, very good point actually. He really should have just used that, except he doesn't like Dusk, so that wouldn't work.
That's true. And it was a pretty awesome fight. Well, we'll get to that when we get to that anyway.
Yes.
Now, this is interesting because me going in watching this episode, because I'm really very littly involved in the creation of this at all. When I saw this and Leon goes, "Time gave it to me as a keepsake," I'm like, did they? Did he? Because I don't remember doing that. Of course.
No.
It is mentioned
Retcon.
in the end of in the season 1 epilogue
Epilogue.
that Dine and Leon do meet up for the occasional fight over the course of the first year of the time gap between the first 2 seasons, which I think was like 5 years. Is that right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. The time scale of the
Yes.
whole
Yeah.
thing.
Season 1. There's
Oh,
a
the
gap
gap
of 5
between
years.
yes, 5 years.
Yeah. So during the first year of that, it is mentioned that Dine and Leon do see each other again a few times.
Hmm.
So that would be why when Dine would give him that amulet, I suppose, because he never
Absolutely.
uses it again in the.
And for those who haven't seen the events of season 1, here they are about to be recapped before your very eyes in
Where?
Alzek's
Where? I'm
glasses.
looking at the screen behind Alzak. Oh, inside his glasses. Oh, right. Okay.
Absolutely.
I thought this was a really good addition, especially to because there were so many references drawn to
Yeah.
the earlier series within this episode, mainly. Adding just a few clips of it in there was probably enough to get quite a few people thinking, let's go and try and find these and go and
Well,
Watch up on the first
well,
season.
I
that's
can
a
only
shame
hope. No one's
because-
ever come to me and said, "Oh, those clips caused me to go back and examine the wealth of previous material."
And it's just as well, because you can't find them on YouTube right now.
They don't exist.
Hi! But they will soon enough, don't worry. We're going to refilm it all.
Can we? Like,
Well,
note for note.
yes, we could,
No.
but the problem is, I can think of 4 integral cast members who may or may not want to come back, and I understand completely for
Too
that
much
to
grey
redo
area.
this again.
there's also an ocean between several of the cast members too.
True.
Oh, well, that can be rectified quite easily.
Now here we come to the end of episode 1, and we will hopefully see you back here for episode 2. Bye bye.
Yes, we will.